some information, whether it's true or not, of course, I have to give it some time, but that we are set or planned to have more data centers in China, even though they're like, AI capital of the world, it seems like. And then I also found it interesting. I saw someone state something yesterday about, okay, so Pam Bondi just got moved into this AI like role. And then within what, a week or two, this whole FBI surveillance or watch list thing came out. And, listen, I don't know who's who, I don't know what's what, but I also know that, her and Patel were pretty, buddy buddy.
They just, are putting in, well, it's not going to harm this. It's not going to do this. That's not how you're explaining it to people. That's not how people are going to learn the correct thing. And if it's a good thing, you should have no problem stating exactly what this will do to your community, right? I mean, that's how I look at it. Oh, I'm not co-host, but go ahead, Sovereign. I don't know. Marlon might have stepped away for a second.
Well, so the data center, the environmental part of it, I wouldn't, even if they did come out with it for us, I wouldn't even trust that, at this point. I mean, can we trust any of that stuff that comes out from these people? Yes, I think they should release it, but I saw some video recently where families that live near these data centers and what's happening to their land, to their water, to all this stuff, the effects. I mean, what are the effects it is going to have on human beings? And then I've heard too that there's potential that these aren't necessarily just data centers, but it's like surveillance because of, people are talking about the flock cameras and surveillance state and all of that, and it might be intertwined with that. What information are they holding? Why are they holding it? Why do we need all of these data centers? We really need this answered. We need answered why our FBI would go against patriotic Americans who are standing up and saying, we don't want this in our home, because that is not the America that we voted for. So I think this is a lot going on, and I think it really needs to be addressed by the Trump administration. And I get it, right? We've all been here a long time in this, and we need to, look at it from every angle. But sometimes I feel like personally, when I look at it from every angle, I start giving excuses as to, well, it might be this or it might be that. I am totally dead set against not having all these data centers. I don't, at this point, I don't care why they want them or why they're putting them up. I don't want them. And I don't think a lot of Americans do either.
Totally agree with you, Sovereign. Totally agree with you. And that's the problem. They're not being transparent. And yeah, you have to go to your town hall meetings, but you know what? There's some people that just can't do it. So you need to just be transparent across the board. Put out a flyer, put out a memo, get on TV, talk about it. This is, it's just, it's not a good thing.
Well, real quick, Julie, are they going to end up putting FBI agents at city council meetings when these things go up? Is that what we're headed to? That's a concern if FBI is saying they're going to put people on a watch list. Sorry, I'm done.
No, you're absolutely right. We'll have to see what happens with that. It's infuriating. And I know, like I said, that they stopped a couple in our immediate area, but I think it's only temporary. And if people sit on their laurels and think, oh, they've won, they really haven't, because this is this is a money making thing. This is a big deal. They're not going to stop. Hi, Mad Dog. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning, Marlon, Julie, everybody in here. Go down to the Purple Pill, like, share, and bookmark this space. Like Marlon was saying, that these spaces, some of them start out with mass people, and this is how we get viewership and get this out there and get the message. I'm gonna sit back and listen because this is a interesting topic. And let's pray for New Jersey right now. It's blowing off with the Antifa scum, and that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, that is for sure. That is for sure. What they're doing down at Delaney Hall should not be allowed. Now we have other senators coming in from other states, like the little penguin boy. He needs to go back to New York and deal with his own problems there. It's just crazy. Hey, Rusty, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. We don't want them data centers in Georgia either. Y'all see all the issues that we're going through with that. But what did I miss? Sovereign was talking about FBI, so I apologize. What did I miss about the FBI getting involved with data centers?
May I, Julie?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I was talking with my husband. I apologize.
Oh, yeah. So she was asking she heard about, tail end of the FBI being involved with the data centers. So yesterday something was put out that the FBI is now going to put they're going to make a watch list for anybody, they said anti-AI data center tech. and it said like extremism and violence or whatever, but that's not even clear either. So does that mean people who go to city councils or online that are saying we don't want this, like, are you putting them on a watch list? Because again, a lot of these people that are standing up against it are American patriots, and I'll be damned if we're going to put patriots on a watch list with an FBI that's already on thin ice with Americans.
So are you sure that's legit? Because I'm like literally trying. I have not heard that.
I, that's what's been going around. Haven't heard it from the Trump administration themselves.
Yeah, I haven't heard it either yet, Rusty, but I do know that they are, arresting people. At our town hall, at the town hall meeting, they had an Andover for the data center they wanted to build there. That they did win. They got them to the proposal got trashed, but only temporarily. Like I said, it's only temporary. There was somebody that was arrested for, it was questionable whether he did anything at all other than just speak his mind at this town hall, and they arrested him. Now, I don't know the specifics of it because it really wasn't clear in the articles that I read. But, if this is the case,
So
this sounds like it's gonna be a problem.
yeah, and that's definitely a local issue. But I found it says documents obtained by Wired, WIRED. I really don't know much about that. Reveal that the FBI and other federal and local agencies have been tracking opposition to AI and data centers under a newly coined threat labeled anti-tech violent extremism. However, the FBI has not publicly announced a specific watch list for people expressing general concerns about AI, nor does the Threat Screening Center allow individuals to be watch list for constitutionally protected speech. Key details on surveillance. The new threat category. Unpublished reports from the agencies like the FBI, DHS, and local fusion centers classify certain opposition to massive data centers and emergent AI as anti-tech violent extremism, per Wired. Again, I have no idea about Wired. It says law enforcement intelligence has flagged seemingly ordinary activities such as attending town hall meetings, photographing data centers, or participating in grassroots environmental activism. The FBI's stated focus regarding AI is on combating cyber threats, preventing the use of generative AI by malicious actors to scale financial fraud, and securing critical infrastructure from technology-based attacks. So I mean, that's really kind of crazy. I don't know if that's true, but I hope that somebody rings the bell at the administration, some of these influencers or the media, you know what I'm saying, to make them answer for. I mean, I want to know. I mean, like that's not okay.
You're right, Rusty. It's not okay, and that's what they keep doing. They're just, they're not allowing the average citizen, the American citizen, to look into these things as well and be transparent with us. And then, this way we can make that decision whether this is something that's going to benefit our town, our community, and at large. So yeah, I totally see that. Hey, Timbo, go ahead.
Another thing too, I've been kind of looking at, which hasn't made sense to me just yet. Hey, these data centers, like especially the one Meta
right? Oh my God. Anyway, the narratives out there. I think that's our number one enemy, man, is trying to actually disseminate what's true and what's not. It kind of irritated me when everybody just jumped on, oh, Trump centers are bad. We haven't heard the real story. And in back of my mind, I feel like it's Trump administration trying to stick as many in here because who knows we're behind the Chinese, right? I don't know. I got a funny feeling that this shit is done because hey, we need to protect each.
Happens when we don't have the correct information of what's going on. Chaos ensues. And maybe it is a part of, some grand plan. Well, I'm sure it is, but which grand plan, I guess, is where I'm at with things, because we aren't. And it's like if we don't get everybody on the same page, and the only way it's seemingly going to happen at this point is this damn Smith-Mundt Act. We're not gonna, it's like we're beating our heads against a brick wall as we the people, because we're fighting against this MSM that is allowed to legally lie to the American people without repercussions. Like that, once we get that stopped, maybe we can finally start getting the information. We can all kind of get on the same page. We can get the transparency we need, and we don't have to deal with all of these influencers. And I did hear somebody, I don't know if it was Julie or somebody else, talking about, the influencers. Does the Trump administration know? I think it was either Nancy Mace or Anna Luna that was bringing up just recently about the influencers and the problem that it's causing and who's getting paid for, to spread information. I feel like that's a huge obstacle for the American people right now, and that really needs to be dealt with.
Stopper, let me ask you a question. Did everybody see it when Israel, Gaza was going on, Hezbollah, Palestinian? To see the amount of people that were cheering for the Palestinians against Israel. Like look at what was put out there. You all seen them. I can't be the only fool that saw through the narratives that they wanted to put out and make that anti-Jewish in America. And I think they half-assed successfully completed that mission. Think about it. Think about just that argument alone. And in the background, if you knew that CIA was stoking both sides of that argument, they used the American people, they influenced them to go against the Trump administration, and now everything Trump said. Why Trump bringing Palestine to the floor? Why was BlackRock sitting in the summit, in the Chinese summit at the same table? So you think in the back of my head, if you're a snake, how do you lure these other people in? The old additive, right? It's you keep friends, but keep your enemies closer. Well, no shit. Wouldn't that make more sense at the end of the day? He knows BlackRock's a bad entity, but us stupid asses, we keep contributing to our retirement funds. Oh, I can't get out of Vanguard. Oh, there's great dividends. Well, you're just feeding the enemies and the born of the NGOs. So, once people start waking up and realize what's going on, we can't be this foolish. There's no way, guys.
Well, speaking of that, so I just recently was like, maybe I could try and dip my toes into getting a little part-time job, see how that works for me, after everything. And I went and applied at like this big box store, and I went and looked up what corporations own it. BlackRock and Vanguard were one of them. And I was like, I literally morally, like, I can't work for a company that I know that is owned by these companies. So I'm trying to now, delve into like small business arena, to work for somebody that's an American citizen and has a small business. But it's mind boggling how deep these BlackRock, Vanguard, all of that. I was speaking out against them 6 years ago with what they were involved with, and these are the tentacles within our country. And I agree 100%. I think Trump keeps some of these people, puts them in the spotlight, shows them off, and it's like, all right, he knows us, right? Like he knows we're going to go out there and we're going to dig and we're going to find all the dirt on these people, because maybe it is because he can't fully trust his own surveillance people like FBI. He certainly can't trust the CIA, to do the digging and to bring up this information.
Well, we're fools for not acting, right? We're we know BlackRock, hey, they're at the end of it. But once you realize and followed some of the discussions that came out of this space about, hey, how BlackRock is actually instituted into trucking, and they own all these hedge funds, and they own all these data companies. Like, we're just so stupid. We have trillions of dollars in their portfolios for our return.
Well, BlackRock. Oh, sorry. Didn't
No.
Larry Fink just come out and say something about taxpayers' monies are going to pay for these data centers? I should have saved that. He came out speaking about the data centers just recently and saying how the American taxpayers are going to be paying for these data centers. It was a whole thing.
The American people are going to receive some kind of profits or profit sharing from investing in these data centers? I mean, maybe those would be the questions that we answer. Or, again, we're just complacent. Okay, Jeannie, how you doing?
Meeting this morning. I think that the future belongs to people who are the first to stand, the first to go to work. I think that the visionaries that I know and dearly love on this space, we are the drivers. And I think that it doesn't, with AI, your background doesn't matter. But if you know a specific industry, that it's go, right? So know the industry and then go, 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 because AI is going to have such a huge impact. And I don't think people understand, you know, and, I just got off a call with somebody who I'm kind of in business with, can't ever get anything off the ground. And, the whole world is going to shift under our feet. And the sooner we understand that, the better. Everyone hates their job. No one is working right now who loves what they do. And so you got to go out and find out what you love to do and go do that. And we will network and pull together little by little. You got to be open to the possibilities.
All right, well, can you do me a favor? Can you find somebody to pay me to go fishing for a while? That'd be cool.
Well, see, that's just it. If you love to go fishing, think about it from a how can I make money off of this? Are there other people that want to go fishing? You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know who said it, but they said, I don't really want to go work for the big box store. Well, the big box store isn't going to hire you shortly. You know, I walked into Walmart and there's like no staff there. It's like there's like one guy, you know, rummaging around watching us all check out. It's no staff in the aisles. There were stockers, but they'll be replaced soon. You know, it's the fascinating world that's coming up. I just hope we're all on board for it. I could use all you guys' help because it's massive. And quite frankly, you know, I've been watching all of the healthcare people on X. I truly, honestly believe that our government is waiting for us to pull our heads out of our asses and get it done. Because our institutions are dead and dying. They're not going to be there. They want us to get it done. And we'll meet in the middle. You know, we got to quit asking them, when are you going to do this? When are you going to do this? Because they're sitting there going, when are you going to do it? You want to be accountable, then
What killed me the other day, Brian killed me, right? And he irritates me sometimes. Yeah, gut feel irritates me sometimes, but at the end of the day, they're kind of funny. But he said yesterday, he's like, yo, if you think that your story is important, if it's something that needs to be exposed, put these stories to your local media. That's what he said. Brian Kilmeade said that on that. But hey, just hearing the guy say, hey, bring your issues to these mainstream media outlets and, start exposing it. Basically what Filmy said. Okay, Ken, you want to?
Yeah, I kind of want to add to Jeannie's comment there. You were talking about how can you get paid to go fishing? Well, yesterday I was in a space with Brandy and Allie yesterday, and we were talking about health insurance, and food. And I brought up about the local farms and ARA and how I'm kind of looking into wanting to make beef jerky. Because one, it's my favorite snack, but if you look at how beef jerky is made nowadays in stores, one, there's no telling what chemicals they put in it, but two, look how small they got, and you can barely get anything for the price you pay for it. But it was Shell that made the comment. Oh, that if you do that, and you send some to Allie, you probably won't want to be getting. She said something about making a business out of it, and it kind of got me to thinking, like, wow, I've been in IT for since 2001. I never thought in my life that starting a beef jerky company. I said, and I started thinking about it. I was like, that actually may not be a bad idea. So it's looking at things like that.
It sounds good, right? But when you go look at the competition that's out there, and and you're right, the quantities. Wild Bill's beef jerky was probably the number one sold beef jerky around here for years. And the quantities just got smaller and smaller and smaller. You can go buy a $6 pack. I mean, if you get 12, 15 pieces of quantity.
Yeah, that don't last me at all. And a little side note, this is for truth. I wish Hope was in here, but I don't see her. She made a comment yesterday in that same space. She has been ordering from a local farmer in near her where she lives at. And the moment she started passing about a word about him online, the guy is sold out now. So to help these farmers in the ARA, we might want to start getting the farmers on X because it seems like a lot of the people who are awakening are on here, and they may sell out quicker here than trying to do like local until they start getting popular enough to where people will start waking up locally and going to them. Just an idea. Just want to throw out there.
Yeah, I get it. It sounds good until, you got to go through the lawyer process, devise the company, come up with the production, come up with the right beef, being able to put, dude, there's a lot to it. I wish it was that easy because, making businesses is not easy. It's hard. It's really hard. And especially, living in blue states like I live in, right? Everything's against me. As soon as somebody hears that you're a small business, oh my God, you're rich. You got money to burn. And I just wish that was the case. You know what? Man, I've been paid to go fishing my entire life, right? But what I meant was, somebody just come on and give me a trust fund and we'll go set some trips up and we can do it like that.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And I wish it was that way too for many things.
It's good stuff, right? Look, the last thing that needs to happen is to burn out the entrepreneurial spirit out of America. And really, for this part of the country, you've done it by, creating and fire. But I got to run my feet through it. Responsibility and liability, right? Go ahead, Julian, and maybe we can say hello to Truth. Truth, speak yet? I didn't hear.
Yeah, I just want everybody to please go down to the Purple Bubble, like and reshare this space. It's also being streamed live on YouTube and on Rumble. So please go over there and give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. People that don't always get on this app might listen to it elsewhere. There's some good information being talked about today. So let's do this. Jeannie, I just wanted to say to you, since you popped up here really quick, did you see that 3 Mayo clinics in Minnesota are going to take away respiratory therapists from the 11 to 7 crew, 11 to 7 shift. That is a big mistake. People underestimate what respiratory does. Okay. And they're going to hand this over to nurses who are totally inexperienced in respiratory and how the machines work and how the ventilators work, how CPAPs, BiPAPs work. And it's really disturbing to me. I just saw that today. I just wanted to throw that one out there. That one is really bad, but that's also because we don't have any kind of representation like they do in nursing when it comes to on the federal level. People go down to Congress to fight for us, but we just don't have enough representation, and it's unfortunate.
Uh,
Well, Julie, I have to respond
yeah,
respond
absolutely.
very quickly to Julie because the reality is they did that to the nurses before. So our hospitals, that's what I'm saying. Our hospitals are not any place anybody wants to be because my recollection was we worked as a team. You had your nurses, your respiratory therapists, your physical therapists, the doctors. We all worked together as a team. You know, the renal dialysis nurses came to the ICU because it was so specialized. We are in doo is what I would say. And so and no one has been able to, nurses don't have representation. Nurses have been treated like shit and abused for the whole time I've been in it. And so that's why I'm saying let's stand up, let's work together. And unless we really are supporting one another, we're never going to get out of this. And so that's all I want to do is support one another. Let's go, 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 go. It's time. Now I'll shut up.
Well, good to see you. Thanks for coming up. Robin, you want to go and I'm going to make?
Yeah, just real quick about what Julie was talking about with the Mayo Clinic, and I just had a thought. Julie, that almost sounds like, America. They know that America was never going to go along with what Canada did, which is the absolutely horrific assisted suicide. It almost seems to me like they're just kind of forcing it, since that would never become law in America. That is horrendous to hear. I mean, most of us already know that the medical establishment in America is sick and twisted, but that seems like some kind of trying to find a loophole and help kind of assist suicide in a sense by not allowing that kind of medical care to be available. That's what it
So,
sounds to me.
did you ever hear the concept of suicide? Have you ever heard that? Like, we played it in school.
No, I haven't.
So when they proposed the commercial, they are talking about assisted suicide. And this is going on in Ontario, Providence. I don't think people realize how big this Providence is, right? There's a big difference between the eastern side of that Providence and the western. You talk about the Mayo Clinic and you talk about, all these other things, but so these people are watching. They pull up on the TV, if you're in the bed, pull up on the TV, that they make inspirational thing that they feel boosters describe it as art piece. And it is cinematic. At the end of the day, how they're going to capture this person, this younger person that might be having a bad day, and with that. We had somebody that was here from Alberta, and they're talking about, hey, now they're talking about being able to get your child in this certain amount of time, be allowed to exterminate that child, murder that child, even after they've been born, right? So, like, they're really screwed up. America's screwed up. Why do you think those Albertans are screaming out? They're watching this happen. Anywho, Sovereign, I know a lot of people that are stuck in that health system. There's guys out of Kenora, and that is west of Manitoba's border, right there where Winnipeg is, about 2 hours, right? When they get sick, man, they don't call up the specialist. They pack their family up and they drive down to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and they pay for it. That's what they do to get service, and that's what they do to get health care. So this dream of, Canada's doing it the right way. Let's talk to the citizenry in Canada. So you're right, Doc.
Well, and
Yes.
just real quick on that. So, in New Jersey, we saw the protesters now just recently, because this is bringing up something here. So the protesters were telling ICE agents to kill themselves, right? And we have all of these, like, I mean, I see billboards everywhere, and I get it. Like, we need, mental health services for our vets and other people, absolutely 100%. But what is this doing to the psyche, and who's pushing this whole, like, I mean, you're using the word suicide constantly and pushing it into the public psyche, the unconscious. And we know a lot of people, right? I mean, financially or whatever might be going on in their lives right now, are feeling desperate or, upset, or they're concerned. And this is being ingrained into the American psyche and basically everywhere over the world. But who is behind this push? Who is behind it? Why are all of these people that we know, like, their minds are not right out there, these protesters, like, it's somehow they've been overcome by demonic entities? But is it also part of the 5G? Is it part of the data centers? Is it part of the EMF, or all of this, secret weapons that they have out there, right? I mean, Trump has talked about the decombobulator. Like, have they decombobulated these people's brains? And who's running their brains? Like, that's my question. Who is infiltrating and running these people's brains to push this agenda? That's my concern, is that we aren't talking enough about how are we getting into, because I know we have the tech to be able to infiltrate people's minds. And that's a lot of times why, we talk about being spiritually strong and putting on the full armor of God against these weapons that, a lot of people aren't even aware of exist, and what is going on in the psyches of these people's brains.
And then we'll go to you, Julie. The J6 community, there's a lot of testimony out there that they felt that they were hit with some kind of weapon point that agitate them, to make them sick. There's quite a few people that had said that from DC when they were there. There's in that crowd, they were hit with some kind of weapon. There's many, many people with testimony out there with. So we don't think that this discombobulator. I can't believe it actually named it that. Julie.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Sovereign, but I also think that they're trying to cut out a lot of services within the hospital. They did this, with COVID and during COVID, and then after COVID, they're giving they're taking away management positions. Some that need to be there, some that don't, and they're putting it all upon nursing supervisors, and they're giving more responsibility to one group of people that have enough responsibility and things they have to take care of on their own. The other problem is that since COVID, they're allowing, and during COVID, they fast tracked a lot of people in respiratory nursing. They didn't have to go through all the clinicals because you couldn't get into the hospital. So they did it online, which is really a bad thing because they really didn't have any life experiences. And now they're just, you come out of school and you want to work in a specific unit that could be a specialty unit. Like, I'll just give a good one that's really, you have to know what you're doing, is in the neonatal intensive care unit. Okay. You used to have to be, working on the floor in pediatrics, working with children in the maternity ward on the floor, just with regular full-born healthy babies before you even stepped foot in a nursery. Now you get out of school and you can get that job right away. They were, you want to work in the nursery? No problem. And that's a recipe for disaster. And things may have happened that are hush hush, but it's only a matter of time before something really bad happens. And I just don't think that this is a good idea. So I think on both ends it could be correct, but I think it's also that they're looking at ways of saving money, saving a penny. There's a shortage too. There's people that just don't want to work in healthcare anymore since COVID. So there's a trifecta of things going on. So it'll be interesting to see, but I'm telling you, this is a bad thing that's going to happen that they're doing at these hospitals.
Well, hey, before we go to Sovereign Truth, if you say hello to Truth, and I just want to say hello to Truth and make sure Terry and the guys that hold the fort down when we're not around. So, Truth, how you doing?
Yo.
It's funny.
big lead in, and I just wanted to,
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with the IRA. Julie, when you see the people that are in charge up there at the top, we realize now that they're bought and paid for. You guys ask why or how or why we're not seeing the right evidence. This is all manipulated behind the scenes to keep it out of our eyes, and we're seeing it, front and stage center. Not only with logistics, but also the IRA.
There's so much corruption. It's deep. I actually don't think that we have a challenge with disclosure. I'm puking so much disclosure. We have an overload of disclosure. The problem is accountability. That's a problem in society in general. Besides the fact that narcissism is a sickening disease that our entire world and country especially is filled with, just narcissistic pieces of shit who don't give a damn about anybody or anything. Me, I. I'm tired of it. We're all tired of it. And as far as disclosure, yeah, we've got a whole bunch of stuff we've known for actually many, many years, whether they admit it or not. Yeah, I mean, don't hold your breath. They're not going to admit it. But accountability, that's where I'm at. We've got to see it. We are seeing some small level stuff, and there are good things happening, but we need to see the big ones. All of us, we're waiting for it patiently, more than patiently. I'm at my wit's end, with all this crap. We are bombarded with so many different directions to look in, and oh my, this here and that there, and oh my God, what are we, like chickens with our heads cut off, running around with no, direction, just distract. This is all a big psyop. It always has been. It always will be. What can we do about it? What can we control? We can start with our own family. Start there. Then work yourself into your community locally. That's the only thing that we have control over, quite frankly. All this other crap, until and I think the president, the administration, I think that they are feeling it. Like everybody's saying, look, until you all hold some major pieces of crap, like Schiff, Pelosi, Elon Omar, all these pieces of crap that we know are pieces of crap that we've known for years are, until they're held accountable. Obama, for crying out loud. Until they're held accountable, nobody is going to trust anything anymore in our government. Nobody
But
trusts
here's
it.
the other problem, right? You may have all the evidence. You may have, hey, who's to blame? You may have all this in your back pocket. But when you realize that the corrupt DAs inside of your town, inside of your county, inside of your state are never going to step out of line, that is political suicide, Truth. That's why they're not going to do it. They are there. It's a political position, dude.
Yeah. But you look at, like, okay, great win, Ken Paxton, awesome. It's what we wanted. We got it. 200 or what was it? Yeah, what was the amount? 252 out of the 254 counties that he won. That's awesome, right? But the next idiot that he's up against in November, the fact that a piece of crap like that is running for office openly, and he's not the first, openly talking straight out of the Communist Manifesto, just nonsense. And then he has the audacity to call himself a pastor in a church, saying that Jesus was non-binary. And dude, talk about somebody burning in hell. Holy moly, that guy's got it coming, But the fact that we have crazy, deluded, evil people like that running for office, and people are taking them serious. Anybody that would vote for that guy, that there's something wrong with you. You're not paying attention, right? Anyway.
Oh, who's the guy? Who's another guy in Maine? He's a total communist. And the Republican, he's got no traction there. You watch. It's not going to take long where Paxton's going to do something against his citizenry, and you're going to hear something, and they're going to put narratives out, and you'll hear it. You'll hear it's coming. Go ahead, Drew. How you doing, man? It's been a while.
Hey, yeah, thank you. It's weird how I just came in on one word you said. You probably don't even remember you said it, but it was entrepreneurship. And you said something about it, it just rang a bell why kids are so struggling right now, because I don't think we get taught enough about that. We get history, math, English, and they tell us, we're a free enterprise system probably, but I'm talking about between first grade and fifth grade, they should emphasize entrepreneurship, that you have the chance in this country to set a goal, go for it. Don't ever give up. If you fail 20 times, you still need to go for it. Don't plan on working for a company, because that will just lead to slave. You're being a slave all your life. You want to be free, right? So it was just entrepreneurship that got me to come in. I wanted to talk about that a little bit, but then
There's a price to pay for that, Drew. You don't understand. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Yeah, it's great to work for yourself, but guess what? You know what? The bottom line, it comes down to the phone call to you, right? You're the one on the end of that line. You're the one that's responsible. You're the one with the liability. That's the deal. That's what they don't tell you.
Yeah, and I mean, they really need it. There's so much like goal setting. You should have a goal all over the place. When you're shaving and when you're doing the dishes, it should be up in front of you guys in your car. If they say they want to be rich, but they don't actually go for it. They have no idea how to go for it. Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but will you do what it takes, right? It takes hold your breath for 2 minutes and then you want air. That's how bad you need to freaking want to make money. You'll never make money unless you get that feeling, I got to breathe. I won't be free unless I need to make money, because you'll never be free until you make money. Anyway,
I want to sleep at night too. I want to be able to turn my head around and knowing that I didn't screw a person in this world. There's not a lot of people that do that, right? I don't want to have that feeling like I'm going to have to pay for that one day over making a profit off of somebody. Look, the builders here, there's a lot of idiots out there. How these people are hiring them is beyond me. Each time that they're burying me in tax and burying me in a new bond and burying me in more insurance, burying me in taxes, burying me in my liability and what I'm responsible for. Dude, it's brutal. When you break it all down, they're in my pockets more than I'm in anybody else's pocket.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, I was telling you about there's a lot for sale for 175,000, and then I asked, well, how much is it? It had no utility. To get the utilities put in, just the plumbing and electricity and the gas, it was like $200,000, dude. I'm like, what these permits are just outrageous. You know what I mean?
Well, look, man, and that's half the battle, right? That's why we're up against the fence. We know that the interest rates the Fed's talking about actually raising the interest rates back up to 6.25. It's at 7.75 now. It's 5 3/4. They've developed a stagflation in the construction world, right? They're waiting for this interest rate to drop before they invest any money. The estimators are slow. The money's slow. That's because all the money from 18 to 22 all ran out, dude, right? If you think about the way that these construction projects are funded, they receive that funding back when the interest rates were 3 5/8 and 4%. It takes that many years for that project to roll out. Guess what? Those projects ain't coming down the pike every day now. They're not going to take the extra $4 or $5 million to go invest in some kind of loan to go put a $200 million project up. They're not going to do it. It cuts into the profit, and the profit's not high enough. Boy, now you're talking problems. Now you're talking about the big boys have the same problem the little boys do. So, sure. Let me go on to K9. I haven't heard from K9 yet. We'll go to Sovereign and Jeannie.
How you doing, Marley, Julie,
Great,
everyone?
Good to see you. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, the truth of the matter, brother. Everybody wants to believe in the structure of government. I stopped believing in the structure of government. At least the kind of government that likes to govern the people, and they don't do really much for the people. I would like, a different structure. The structure, they minimize the government for what they're supposed to be created to defend, but not to administrate laws. And many laws, it doesn't make sense for the people. The people supposed to be walking up from that 100% and be more constitutional. In the Constitution, the original, it didn't have so many enclosures as it is right now with the law. The lawmakers continue making laws, and until when? Until they cannot get any more, from you, they already get you to the wall. With your children, with many other laws, about your housing. How much more do you guys willing to compromise and tolerate with the structural government it is today? It's a very simple fact. The day that we stop believing in that so-called government, it governs you. I want to govern my own self. I got a control of myself. I got a control of what I can possibly do with myself. I don't want to control my wife. I don't want to control my children. I don't want to control anyone because that was designed by God. You need to be in peace with every single one of them. And believe me, I have found through the whole entire world, traveling, the most people from all over the world that share the same interests as we are. They don't want no wars. They don't want no differences. And the governments and religion, they have made those differences. The divisions that exist in the people. The many things, that they are wrong, that due to those people. At this point right now, the equation is simple. After these 4 years of our president, Donald Trump, what's going to happen? Who's coming in power? And what are they going to make of changes that will make dignifying for the people? Nothing at all. I don't think nothing has really changed. Your cost of living and everything else is continue the same. So we got used to it, or we just got impaired to really realize, that that's a vicious circle. And what we've been holding is an anarchy for so long. And that is for real politicians and more lawmakings that doesn't make sense to you. To me, I'm walking away from all of that. I'm just simply not producing from the federal government. I'm producing to myself, in my farm, for my life, for my children, for my wife. I'm not doing anything else extraordinary. I'm not breaking any laws because my sovereignty constitutes my home. And that's what everybody needs to understand. If we stop that wheel for one day, it dignified for the federal government $2.9 million. Might think it's enough, but imagine it if that would be 90 days. I don't think, any government would stand, for so long without the financial backup than the American people produce. So imagine it globally. What would it be? It will be the end of governments. It will be the new government, the people, for the people. I love you all. Thank you, Marlon.
Good to see you, K9. Thanks for coming up. How many businesses that you heard going out of business? I live free, but I'm taxed to death, right? And there's so many hurdles here in New Jersey and responsibilities and the rising costs. Dude, it's hard to run a business, okay? And most other people would have wrapped it up. But, listen, I'm not ready to go and, commit and go back to work for somebody. I just can't do it. I'm going to find a way. All right, K9, I'm going to find somehow. I've started over many, many times, man. That's all I got to do is just hike the skirt up and let's go.
It start with an incubator, a chicken farm. That's all there is. It's just one of the things. Aquaponics. Nothing, fancy, but something, that provides food in your table, and it provides, monetary. A shrimp farm. You can sell the shrimps, for bait, even though the people they're going to eat it. So that way you actually skip the part of the FDA. There are many things, to go around, Marley. Also, hydroponics, mini greens, many things, and you can interchange, with your neighbors. See, I got a neighbor who's a cattle rancher, so I interchange, hay for meat, and vice versa, eggs, for something else. from some other veggies that I don't get. And that way, I mean, you step away from the system, the vicious circle. But hey, you know what? Until then, we're going to continue nagging and bitching about the government when we got the solution in our hands.
Well, brother, not only the government's against me, but I think every varmint in the world is against me. I'm battling gophers, I'm battling squirrels, I'm battling moles. They keep cutting my corn down. I keep replanting it. I'm getting pissed, man. Anyway, K9.
Electroculture, electrify the ground. You won't have no more ground balls and those kind of shit.
I like that. K9, great to hear your voice. You got a couple minutes to hang out. To Sovereign and Jeannie, if you don't mind, can I go quickly to Ann and then we'll go right to you, Sovereign and Jeannie. How you doing, Ann? Good to see you.
Yeah, good morning. Got two things this morning. One, I did put a video down below that I put together to support the efforts of American Gulag Chronicles, who have produced 3 gorgeous books. I say gorgeous just because of the artwork, the letters, just the layout, all of it that they've done. But it's not a gorgeous topic. These are letters, poems, songs, all sorts of things that were written to people on the outside of prison by J6 defendants and inmates and so on that were going through the system and then from in prison. So all of us corresponded with January 6ers when they were going through this, but some of these are just absolutely stunning. I mean, I don't even have words. I'm flabbergasted when I see some of the stories. And one of the most profound things that stood out to me was how many people deepened their relationship with God in spite of the horrific conditions. So it's not for the faint of heart, but yet it's for everybody because of the hope that lies within. And these books are being sold as by American Gulag Chronicles as sort of a historic piece from this period of time. And it's a limited edition. When they're gone, I'm not sure if they're going to redo them, but all the funds, all the proceeds are going to help January 6ers and their families with their recovery right now. And I wanted to thank you, Marlon, for your comment, because it was very compassionate on the post that I found this morning. And I know the J6 community really appreciates that insight, because not very many people, I'll let you speak for yourself on that. But the other thing I wanted to circle back to real quick was just this, what you were talking when I first came on about Canada, and there was a lady, and I didn't catch her name, so I'm sorry about that, but she was talking about the constant suggestion of suicide and up there, because that's a thing they offer now, and all that.
They run a commercial in Ontario, and they
Oh my
make it
God.
seem like it's artsy, it's showing oceans, and this is peace and serenity. No,
Yeah.
that's the way the commercial plays.
Well, here's the thing that, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all, because that is sort of a type of a psyop, to sort of preemptively begin to suggest that this is the way. Well, for all of the work that's being done in America for veterans who have been coming back from combat and so on. I mean, as an Army wife, I went with my husband to a lot of the yellow ribbon events before and after his deployment. And I was shocked at the return yellow ribbon conference. It was very strange. We had to prepay for our hotel rooms and certain parts of our lodging. We had to show up and be present all the time. We had to use some sort of a monitor type system where they would clock you coming in or out, so you couldn't be gone very long. Otherwise, they wouldn't reimburse you for your food. For your hotel. And we sat there in this room, big ballroom, and there were a lot of combat vets coming back then too. My husband came from combat region, having been working with the helicopters there. And it just seemed like every other person that came up on the stage was constantly talking about suicide. Don't do it, obviously, is what they would say. But I mean, I didn't hear very much about life going forward. People without vision will perish. I didn't hear very much at all. It was just, well, if you feel that, or if you're becoming that way, it was all the negatives constantly. And these guys, they were getting very uncomfortable. I was watching the room, and I mean, they would do anything, play tic-tac-toe, anything, but they weren't, and you'd have these people in suits up on a stage with high heels and suits and all this, and, walking back and forth like they're authorities on this subject, but it just was so disconnected from the veterans. And when I think about the constant repeating of that word, I couldn't imagine how this could be anything but difficult for them. And I don't see how it helped at all. So I just thought I'd mention that. That's on my list of things that I hope to see improved. But
Well,
thank
you
you.
know, and great to see you. And thanks for coming up and contributing today. And, veterans have been, on my mind ever since Memorial Day. I put a post out about even my family, the family that we've lost, my uncles, my cousins, my friends. And I'm talking about from World War II all the way to Desert Storm and the Gulf invasion, right? I mean, I've lost people all the way along the way in my family and friends. And, now that you those guys and not getting the reinforcement, I think Doug Collins better step up to the bat. I think he's the new director of the VA. And you know what? I'm not seeing out of Doug Collins what I expected to see. That's not what we're hearing out of the VA. It's just as difficult now. That's a problem.
Yeah, that would define it. And there are some things, a few things that have improved, but as far as just the whole general approach, there still needs to be some fresh vision in there.
Hey, did they raise your benefits? Now the Doge went and they're cutting all these different programs. How much thievery was happened inside of our medical? Hey, did they raise his benefits? And I wouldn't be happy until those veterans are breathing an easier life. They're the people that signed their names on. We have veterans right here in this space that probably agree 100% of what I'm saying. I think those benefits should go up. I think the politician that starts with that, maybe he'll win a friggin' election. Let's talk about the real policies that really would help our veterans. Looking at the post and watching our illegal immigrant population get 26, 28, $3,000 a month, and here's a World War II veteran getting 12 and struggling. No, this is over. Where's the common sense?
Yeah, that right. We've got a lot of work to do here. At least the conversations are happening, which does pose hope. But there is a disproportionate appropriation going on. And, really every veteran voice matters. And my husband has been very active verbally, and he's even been in touch with the appropriations committee and so on to get them to look at all of these things. But it's extremely complex because what has happened before, Pete and Trump and all of this, is so complex and so interwoven. One and Doge began to unravel some of it, so it's very, very, very deep. So it would definitely take a while. I'm not sure exactly what, but I appreciate your speaking about that. And the suicide thing is still extremely important. So each one can reach one in our communities. And as for that particular post that I posted down there, anybody that feels led by their heart to do so, please share it, because we've got to get the word out to be able to present a little bit more of a warm welcome to the January 6th defendants. A lot of them, speaking of veterans, are still struggling to get their veterans benefits back in spite of the pardon. And there's a lot who, I know there's a guy who just campaigned to try to get some help so he could keep his home. There was a big complex set of things that happened when he was gone. There's a lot of people that are still extremely estranged from their communities and their families. They've lost their wives, their homes, everything. So these are very, very brave people, and prison was hard, but this is hard. So if you all can share that, if nothing else, just to bring the spotlight to their concerns and bring prayers to people's hearts, that would be wonderful. And thank you, Marlon, and all the people in here, for what you show up for every day here.
And if you have an iPhone, put that up in the Nest there because unfortunately Marlon and I both have Androids and we cannot do that. That would be great so we can really spotlight this, okay?
I will try and switch devices. And if that doesn't work, then if you go to my profile, you can find it there and grab it from there, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think Truth has an iPhone. He can do it. If you could do that for us, Truth, that would be appreciative.
Yeah, which one? What?
The post that Ann put to the purple bubble. And do you want to can you DM it to Truth? Do you know who Truth is?
I see his profile image there. I can do that.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Ann. Good to see you. Hey, we watched, especially the people on X, we watched the evolution of J6. You know, we were screaming out 4 years ago that those AGs did those constituents wrong, man. That AG is there to fight for your rights as your citizen inside of that state, and they dropped the ball. Every one of them should be on the chopping block for that shit. Those cases, when it came out of the DC gulag, they should have been introduced to a new board here in New Jersey, reviewed the case, make sure that they got a proper trial, make sure that they were given the discovery and their evidence against them, and they didn't do that. RAG is just the people that signed those people into those prisons are just as liable as the people in the gulags down there in DC. Let's go to Sovereign, and we'll go to Jeannie, Mr. Small.
Thanks, guys. And when you started talking, my first thought was, I wonder who is behind the yellow ribbon event. That would be my first dig, is finding out who is putting that on and who's behind it. And I couldn't agree more with everything you said. Listen, I feel like, you know, why people have, and it makes me so, anything to do with our military elders and the vulnerable children, like nothing will get me hotter quicker than hearing about, you know, the way that they're treated. You
know what, real quick, Sovereign, before you finish up, you know, there's a gentleman that I met 3 weeks ago, right before Memorial Day, 2 weeks ago, and he's out at Troop 2293 in Runnymede, New Jersey, and he's invited me to come up and talk to not just the conservative, the entire group, because he loves what we were talking about. Go ahead, son.
Well, and so what I've noticed, and I am not military, but I've been through some things, but what I have seen and heard about for our vets and our military members is, and it's by design, of course, we know, because, you know, the administrations prior to this one, it's like a administrative dystopian nightmare. And you know what these people really need? They need to be able to come home and not have to worry about signing this paper, going here, going there, doing this, doing that. Nope, you got to do this now. Nope, you got to go over there. Nope, that's the wrong paperwork. It is an absolute nightmare. And that's just in general, but within our military, I would expect order, not chaos. Because if a military member or a vet is worried about how they're going to get health care, or how their family is doing, or how they're going to get their bills paid, I don't want my military worried about those things. I want them focused on exactly what they signed up to do. And I want them to know that when they get home, there isn't a blip on the radar. They come home, you did your job, it's time to come home and be with your family and do what needs to be done in that time frame. I do not want our military members worried, or our vets worried about coming home and having to deal with administrative paperwork BS. Like, that is so frustrating and disturbing. And I really hope, and I'm sure it is on Pete Hegseth's mind, in ensuring that kind of chaos is not going on for our military and our veterans, because that is disturbing.
Here's the worst part. You talk about drug use. You know where most of these guys got the habit?
Yeah, right. I mean, was it in World War I, World War II, where they basically handing out meth? I mean,
no, they shot them up. They shot them up before they went on to Normandy's beach. They were shot up with heroin. That's what they did.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, we know, right? They've done a lot of testing, not just on humans, but, you know, our military members, their families. You know, we talk about J6, and they've talked about, you know, how they felt a certain way. And I talked about this for years, there are literal communities in America that are designed. They've been testing on people in their communities. So I'm not surprised to hear this coming up from J6. Julie, what you were talking to earlier, it sounds to me almost like they're setting up the nurses to take the fall, which is sick in and of itself. And the other thing with the whole taking away the respiratory care, it sounds like they're preparing for pre-plan of some kind of virus that they may want to try and send out. So they're just pre-planning so that they don't have the resources to help people. I mean, it's like
They're telling us now, Auburn, look at the Ebola I talk.
yeah, and the hantavirus, right? I mean, come on. Like it's like they're pre-planning and being, prepared to not be able to help people for a virus that they are going to put out. I mean, we know this playbook. This is what they did. This is what we're just seeing it more clearly now because, we had to go through COVID. So those are a couple things. In truth, I completely agree. I think Americans are just fatigued. I was recently in a Hobby Lobby, and I love Hobby Lobby. But listen, there was two cashiers. One of them was wearing a mask. The other one wasn't. I went in the line like, I don't want to deal with you if you got a mask on. I'm just done with this crap. I'm done. I'm over it. And this lady, she was rude to her fellow employee. She's over there rah, 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 in her mask. And then she looks at me because her line is empty and everybody's in a line with me because nobody wants to go over there because we all know, right? Like we don't want to deal with this we don't, no thank you, right? And this woman looks right at me and she's like, ma'am, my lane is open. And I looked at her and I just kind of looked around the room and I ignored her and I thought, you know what? And I'm not that type of person. I'm really not. But at that point, if she was going to ask me again, I was going to very loudly explain to this woman, I'm sorry. I have PTSD from people that wear masks. Like we are fatigued, we're done. And so that's just my observations from listening to everybody. I mean, we've been through this, and again, like I am a huge advocate for our vets and ensuring that they should all be 100% covered. You're going to sign your name to that paper and be a part of that. I want these people 100% covered. I don't want them to have to worry when they come home or when they're away. Period.
Well, I can tell you from experience in military. Quite frankly, the whole process of when you're basically processed out, um, you don't realize while you're in the military, at least I didn't. Every single encounter, everything that you do, they have to document it, right? And depending on who's documenting it, who's writing it up, really determines a lot of stuff later when you go to make a claim. So if you're not paying attention, with most of us while we're serving, the last thing we're thinking about is, oh, did you document it right? Just things that you don't think about for the future. And then when you get out, you have what's called a DD 214. So on that DD 214, it basically shows any medals, ribbons that you earned while you were in and deployed, and what kind of, just all kinds of information there kind of generally summarizes what you did in your time in service. And then, of course, your book or your jacket, whatever you want to call it, has all of the training that you went through and all the details essentially. And those details are written by whoever it is, that's in charge of that department to write up all the things that you experienced and training you went through. So depending on how well or poorly that was written can actually determine a whole bunch when you go to making your claims. I say, well, it's not in your jacket. It's not on your DD 214. So that's why making service members that are still active duty aware of that now, so that, hey, dude, you really got to get on these people, look at what you have now, ask to see your files, see what's been recorded, what hasn't. If something's missing, you got to get it put in there before you get out. There's so many ways to do this, but the fact that I have over 40 fellow veterans every day taking their lives is it's so hard to even fathom that. And I've lost some dear brothers and sisters in this that they had enough and they gave up. They put their hands in the air because the bureaucracy that goes with making a claim. First off, I was never even aware, quite frankly, when I got out, that I had the ability to go through the VA, get into the whole system and actually get some disability if it were, there for, I had no idea. When I got out of the military for over 20 years, I just moved on in life, just didn't think anything of it, never stepped foot in a VA, nothing. And had I known, had somebody told me, but when I was getting out, everything was rushed. They throw you a bunch of brochures and you're never going to read it. You know what I mean? So there's so many things wrong with the system, the way it's set up. So until we change that and then make people aware of it, it's going to continue to be the same bullshit. It took me 5 years just to get rated in the VA system, then another 6 years just to get Social Security disability, even though I was determined from the VA, non-employable, the whole nine, 100% disabled, all that stuff. And it's just too much, and they want you to give up. And yes, like you're saying, you fill out a form. Oh, well, you had to add the attachment form, and no, that's the wrong one. That's the old form. It's like, well, I got it from the frickin' VA's website. What do you mean it's the old? Well, oh, we haven't put the new form up. And it's just like, God dang it, dude. Especially if somebody's suffering from PTSD or TBI, which I had both, that kind of crap. Your mind's not in it. That's the last thing you're trying to think about. Then they want you to write experience of the things that kind of made you messed up in your head. So imagine trying to be told, hey, you need to write down what messed you up. It took me over 6 months to even sit down and put pen to paper, the shit that I was trying to forget about, that I didn't want to talk about to anybody, much less put it pen to paper for every Tom, Dick, and Harry to read. You know what I mean? Then you feel like you're admitting some weakness or whatever, and you're told not to be weak, suck it up. Man, sorry, these are the kind of things that go through.
Really, they don't explain exactly what really the military does to you, right? They break you down mentally. They put you into this state of mind. Hey, I got to follow orders. Hey, I got this structure to follow. That's what they build for them, right? And when they come out, they don't have that structure. And this happened to a guy that worked for me. I reached out to the Maryland chapter of Wounded Warriors that I knew very well, and they gave me a lot of tips on how to really set this guy up, because he was off the rails. I couldn't even deal with him, and here he was one of my employees, and he told me it's really the loss of the structure. They're looking for something, and coming out with a dependency is no help. This dude went down the wrong path. I don't think he's alive now. Anyway, let me go on to Mr. Smalls, and then we'll go to you, Jeannie. Is that okay? Mr. Smalls, how you doing? I know you're up and down, guy.
Hey man, hope I'm coming in clear, a little bit bad reception this morning.
You sound good.
Hey, great. So yeah, I came up here and I was just popped into space. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Happy Thursday. Beautiful, bright blue skies in the hopefully new Republic of Alberta here right away. I heard you talking about a medical assistance in death MAID. That is a Canadian thing. It is also down in the States. Don't kid yourselves. There's a few states. I want to say it's around 10 that actually do this for you. Heed the warnings from somebody that's basically on the front lines of this up here. Our veterans are asked to self-exit on a regular basis. Just in the last month or two here, we've had a person diagnosed out front of a Tim Hortons, driven to the doctor's office, and they self-exited in a single day. Our veterans are treated like garbage. Our former prime minister told them that they were asking too much. We've subsequently sent billions upon billions across the sea to countries not our own. I know you guys understand that really well. The easiest way to find any of this stuff is search MAID, M-A-I-D, in Twitter. You will, or in X, sorry, you will find hundreds upon hundreds of posts by people that are actually tracking this. There is an account on X. Her name is Riss, R-I-S-S, and she has been tracking this with relentless pursuit for at least 5 years since me knowing her. One of our veterans was actually injured in a tour. She was wheelchair bound, and she asked our Veterans Association for a wheelchair ramp, and they said, "How about MAID? We can't even build a wheelchair ramp for someone that went to the theater for our country." Uh, it's just sickening. It's unreal. Um, and it is happening on a daily basis up here. Last year, I believe, or maybe it's 23, can't even remember what year it is. Our total assistance in death on our total numbers was just over 5%. I think it was 5.1 or 5.2. It has risen to almost 7% now. I believe the last statistics were just under 16,500 people in Canada. They say it's for good, they say it's for whatever, but they're trying to extend it for people that are having a bad day. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy. There's a physician in Quebec that wants to allow families or parents to maid their child if it comes out not perfect or not the way they want it, if it has any sort of defect or syndromes. They want to push it from 0 days born to 1 year. It's disgusting. It's sick. It's human trafficking pipeline 101, organ harvesting, and the whole 9 yards. I'll leave that disgusting topic because it makes just me furious. But I seen the J6 stuff coming out. Good on Trump. Thank you so much. Gavin Newsom is a piece of shit. Everyone veteran in that entire state needs to leave. Just pack your bags, get out. Whatever it costs, just go. His state is falling off the side of the earth anyway, if you believe their rhetoric. So it's only a matter of time. Love your space, Marlon. Thank you so much for letting me up. Keep your heads high, people. There's so much winning going on. The fear mongering, hantavirus, Ebola virus, it's just another mask. It's hard to keep us loose harvested and low vibration. Gather with your people, share the happy times, and let's freaking go. Happy birthday, America. Thank you, Marlon. Have a great day, everybody. Let's go.
Do you know if you took an everyday dose of ivermectin, you wouldn't have to worry about Ebola? Ebola is not an airborne pathogen. It is a fluid contact. Don't let them tell you anything different. They're screaming about 900 cases in Africa. That's what they're screaming about. 220 deaths from it. But they're scaring the shit out of Americans. You can hear it. You can hear it coming. Oh, and if you guys remember, on I guess it was Tuesday, we talked about canned foods. Now the hysteria is out there that there is going to be food shortages during the summer because they don't have enough copper and steel to actually make the cans. That's actually what they're saying. Go ahead, Julie, and then we'll go to Jeannie.
Yeah, it's scary, and that's why they moved on to Ebola, because pretty much the hantavirus was squashed. It's not a respiratory disease. You get it by inhaling mouse droppings in a very, very, very dry climate. We don't have too many places that are very, very dry, except like Arizona, New Mexico, some parts of Nevada. So it's rare. The only thing I just wanted to not push back a little bit, but Mr. Smalls, I know you were saying that it is in the United States about the assisted suicides. And yes, we can do assisted suicides in this state. The difference is, and I don't know what your stipulations are in order to get the assisted suicide up in Canada, but in the United States, there are such loopholes that we really don't see much of it, because you have to have 6 months or less to live. You have to be within sound mind and body. You have to be able to inject yourself. You have to have 2 doctors that are willing to agree and sign off on this. We used to have an infiltrator that came into our space that tried to tell us this whole same thing. So there is a difference. It is allowed to happen in certain states in the United States, but the stipulations are very, very strict. So it's very rare that it happens. As a healthcare worker, I have never seen it. I mean, we do hospice and we do stuff like that, but they also make sure that the patient is left comfortable. And again, it is with the patients, the families, and their doctors that are all in agreement that this is what they want to do. The assisted suicides, I really do not see that often, and I've been in healthcare for over 30 years, so I just wanted to clarify that part.
Well, Kat just put out that they solicited somebody in front of the Tim Hortons. You mentioned that, then you, Mr. Smalls, go ahead, Mr. Smalls, and we'll go to Jeannie.
Yeah, absolutely, Julie. I 100% agree. I wasn't saying that your terms of service for this MAID program are similar or close, but you got to watch that slow drift. It is a very slippery slope that is and how it was presented to the Canadian populace is the end of life care, and hospice is just prolonging the inevitable. Obviously, we're all copacetic enough to realize that if we're alive today, we may not be tomorrow. Some of those circumstances, it is a compassionate thing, but that's how it was sold to us. Like Marlon previously stated in the space, that commercial, Canada has taken it and made it some sort of performative art to self-exit.
Right?
It's
It is. That's exactly what it is. They make it. They're putting an illusion in these kids' heads.
Yeah, Marlon, absolutely. And that's where it really is the worst out here. The slow, slippery slope, like I was saying, is, grandma, she's 90, she's got 6 months to live, and she's cancer ridden. So I went through a dementia case with my grandma, and her end of last 6 months was not great. Would I have said, let's go ahead with that for her sake and her soul to pass on? I know she was ready. Absolutely. It watched her for that last months, but the slippery slope in Canada is very slippery. We fell off the cliff. It wasn't for the compassionate anymore. It was for there was the case where it was a 14-year-old that was having a bad day. It's not right. There's so much life to live. It's just like the clean drug supply up here. That's not what those people need. They need help. They need a community. They need to know that they're valued. I don't think assisted suicide is the right path for anyone, unless it's that last 6 months where there's absolutely nothing left and you realize it. You can do it yourself. But like I said, if you go on to X today and search MAID, maybe just the word MAID, that's all I did, but you'll see headlines about an Ontario man. He was picked up in a Tim Hortons parking lot and told that he was allowed to. He went to the doctors that day and they self-exited. That is not right. That is not okay. That is not a path. You know what? Everyone has a bad day, and suicidal ideation is literally mainstream culture at this point. So of course there's those inner thoughts of not being worthy enough, but you have to there has to be a barrier of access to that 6 months or 2 doctors or 10 people or whatever it needs to be. It can't just be randomly picking you off the street or, hey, my legs don't work and I need a ramp for my house. Those are not valid excuses. I'm sure if that veteran asked her community, there would be patriots like anyone in this room. Even if you didn't know how to use a hammer or a screwdriver, you would figure it out so this lady wouldn't have to self exit in her mid 40s to 50s. It's just not right. But yeah, I'll go back on that, Julie. I do understand, but please
With
just
Mr.
be
Smalls.
mindful.
No,
The slope is slippery.
Yeah, no, totally agreeing with you. I just wanted to clarify that so people don't think that is that easy for this to be done. It's not. Will it be in the future? I hope not. I hope not. But yeah, it's only right over the border to us
What
that
hope
this is
do we have?
possible to happen.
Julie, wait a minute. What hope do we have? We're ushering communism into the Northeast. How long is it going to be when, hey, what you saw, what they did with the abortion bill from when we were kids to what it is now? I mean, you could only imagine in 10 or 12 years that these people get their grips into our state legislatures. How long is it going to be before New Jersey are going to be able to have assisted suicide? I think that's more of what we're looking out for is, hey, we're watching the evolution of it. They could commit malice right on the birthing table. So anyway,
Yeah, we go to the next thing, just to throw a little monkey wrench in it, or just get everybody to chuckle for a second. Did you know that the secret Republican plot to make leftists look like idiots? It's actually known as Operation Just Let Them Speak, and it's working. Anyway,
It's definitely working. Let them speak. I try. There's an old thing. What is it? You know what? I'll have to come up with it. It has something with yeah. If as soon as you open your mouth, you're going to let them know that you're not as smart. Anyway, Jeannie, go ahead.
So I just love you guys so much. You make me feel like it's all going to be good. I am actually taking my company's DEI training on mental health at the workplace, and they're recommending that we cover if we get under too much stress. And as you guys were talking about all of these different things, I was looking at how they're presenting this. It's like you're talking to a nurse who's worked with mental health patients, but they're talking about workplace mental health. It is a drip by drip by drip by drip mind fuckery is what it is. And I'm just like, you know what? Go to work, do your job, shut the fuck up. I don't want human resources. We need to outlaw human resources. They are you farm out all just I'm so over all of this. They're lies. It's all lies. And you want me to sit here in the training for it? This is unreal. It's so deceitful. And I'm tired of that. I'm gonna call it what it is. If you don't like it, hit road. That's where I'm at. Thank you, Merlin.
The words keep bent. Anyway, hey, Sovereign, I know you've been hanging on. Let's go to Sovereign. We'll go to you, Joe. Canine True.
Oh man, I should have written it down. I forgot. I just want to say and reiterate again that we need to do like 1,000 times better by our military and our vets, our elders, the children. I mean, all of it that we've all been here fighting for. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one out here feeling it. Yeah, I love you all. Thanks for listening.
Sovereign, I'm telling you, one of my plans is to visit every one of these VFWs, and there's not all just conservatives that are in VFWs, but I think they are on the same page as far as what they know that their cities need, their towns, what the kids need to be starting to learn, and this is where we can start developing quorums and voting quorums. Right? If we were able to go and influence that troop at 2293 in Runnymede, New Jersey, to really get on board and fight back the evil establishment in Camden County, don't you think they'd be up for it? Maybe they just need somebody to lead it. Maybe.
I think that's a good idea. Wouldn't it be cool to just get in an RV and travel around to American Legions and VFWs and just, talk to these people and interact? Because I'm of the mind that like we need these men and women, they can like why, get them involved in the communities again. Give them a purpose. Get them with the kids. Get them all this knowledge that they're good people, and like they've just been left behind, and that's not okay because they are brilliant, beautiful Americans, and I want to see them involved. And we're losing that kind of knowledge and that kind of just inheritance of these great and beautiful people that make up the fabric of America. Recently I just left a community where the VFW ended up shutting down. You know what they were doing at that VFW on Friday nights? A woman was linked to an advocacy group that is supposed to help domestic violence and human trafficking survivors. Coming to find out, this woman who does like all the family stuff at this advocacy group, she was dressing up as a man at the VFW holding drag shows where they allowed children. That's what was going on one of the VFWs. I mean, that is the kind of crap that needs to stop. And I'm sure a lot of the vets themselves quit going there, at least, the sound-minded ones. But I think we need to remind these men and women that they are loved, they have a purpose, and we need them here. And we got to show them.
Look, and that's half the reason that I had to pull back some of the things that we were doing. Right, I've lost touch of that. When that guy talked to me, I felt like it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, wait a minute, all these subjects that we just rolled through, it's what we're talking about on X every day. Maybe I was missing the mark. Maybe I didn't have the right foundation. God damn it, I'm going to build it. Why don't we go to Joe? Go ahead, Joe. You've been hanging on there.
Yeah, in terms of both Ebola and hantavirus, they're both nothing burgers, unless they make a vaccine for it, in which case it will shed and then it will become a real epidemic. So if you know some retard deciding to get vaccinated for it, avoid them like the plague, because that's what they become. I also put into the pill a link to both my Substack for what I'm about to talk about and to an affordable link stateside for nitazoxanide, which Dr. Jim Thomas preaches highly about. Everything I'm hearing is correct. It's superior to ivermectin. And at 35 cents a pill, that's a pretty darn good price. But there's another way to be prepared for that next virus, respiratory virus, and that is to detox your thymus. The thymus is in the center of your chest, just below the collarbones, down to it's in front of the lungs, to the upper respiratory area. And by transdermal chelation, we can detox the thymus by applying to the neck, which also covers the thyroid, vagus nerve, and brain. And I know that I have a very healthy thymus, even at 61 years old. Now, we were conditioned to understand that the thymus would degrade starting in our teenage years. The question is why? And the answer is toxicants, accumulation of lead, mercury, aluminum, cadmium, arsenic, and even antimony, especially if you wear polyester. And when we detox the thymus, that's where the naive T cells, that's the new soldiers ready to fight that next unknown pathogen, are developed. And I know this firsthand that mine is working because when my wife came home with a sickness, I had a very mild fever for a couple hours and it disappeared. My daughter was sick for days and my wife was the last to recover. That's in order of how much toxic burden we have. On a side note, there's been some things happening locally related to the data center. First, the day after the vote, someone wanted to buy my business. I said no, because I'm definitely not more important than 11,000 people. And someone came into my home and damaged one of my hoverboards and paralyzed my cat. I am not backing down. I'll drop the mic there.
Well, I'm sorry about to hear that, unfortunate, Sarah, and maybe I'm sorry to your target. Joe, I think maybe hey, without complicating it too much, why don't we just work on some of the prophylactics that we all learned? The things that our government didn't put forth, right? They didn't teach us, hey, to make a mild peroxide solution and cut down the bacteria in your nose, cut the time of your cold or your sickness. I mean, why wasn't our government telling that? No. They questioned our patriotism. They used social pressure in to get us all to get vaccines, and they questioned our patriotism when we didn't. I think it's much more patriotic to go the other way and really realize what my body can do. And I think some of that detoxing. Look, you see it in Lindsay, right? That looks like a totally different woman. Each time I see her, she looks brighter and brighter every time. That technology is going to come across, and hey, detoxifying people. Maybe we'll get some of these people that have been hurt so bad. Maybe they'll be ready to speak after this. So we'll see, Joe. Why don't we go K9 and then we'll go to you, Church.
Thank you again, Marty. Dude, it's a lot of trigger points. And one of the trigger points for me was when you guys talk about what the soldiers go through. Neglected medically. And Joe has mentioned, several different things that go, by bioengineer. And then it's actually in their food and water. And many things, of that nature. How much more that we're going to put up? You guys realize it? We all basically nagging, but what's the solution? That's the main question right there. What's the solution? Will you step and you continue digesting the system and allowing them to continue walking all over you and your family. That's the point, of decision in each man and every woman to make as a patriot person. And mainly remind you about something. Patriots, they're not designed, to be someone specific. Patriots as the ones who actually love the country, love God, love the country, and love their people. And they actually stand by the trueness on every man and woman's heart. So the definition of soldiers, they're patriot warriors because they actually compromise to give their lives as much as you will do, mamas and papas, they will give their life, for their children. And I can reassure you one thing, I feel every bit of it because I not only lost my brother, who actually was a warrior patriot, but also I lost my son, and that's as a father. So I don't know, folks. Those bioengineering things, they're trying to blame one person and point the finger to another one. It doesn't seem to be working for me. Yes, indeed, I'm mad. And I'm mad at intelligence. You cannot get any results whatsoever by force. Intellectual, because we're being absorbed by what is called technocracy. And technocracy is all over the world in every government. And also they have what is religion. It's a man-man thing. I think I believe in God prior that I've been introduced to God by the Bible. The Bible didn't make any difference for me because I already knew it. And let me tell you, being a man that actually returned from death, can have a good experience, with me. And I can reassure you, the only church that exists is you. It remains in your heart because it's the point it was built. That's what God decides. So listen to your heart. Listen, to your people and do the right thing. That's all I can tell you. Solutions for many and a peaceful solution by intellectual is many that I can offer at this point. Well, I love you all. Thank you, Kerry.
Boy, K9, and before you roll out of here, and I'm really sorry for your loss. And that's why I put that out on Memorial Day because of the aunts, uncles, and friends that we lost during all these wars, from wars all the way up to the Gulf War. Right now, I see the repercussions of this every day. I work with a guy. Right, he was one of the first regiments. He was standing there with Saddam Hussein statue down in the middle of that square. He was the very first. He put on a chemical suit and marched across the desert to get there. And it was the most god awful thing he ever witnessed, ever wanted to be there. They were scared to death. They were scared to death. And it's unfortunate at the end of the day that we really knew the motive behind it. And even having a concern. We knew the motive behind it, and even having a conservative George Bush saying, hey, we're going to go did this. Now we see all the signs that they really let us down, and at the end of the day, I'm sorry for your loss, Kane. I really am, man.
Darling, the truth of the facts on this, PTSD is real. But you know why it's real? Because many of the things that had not been taken consideration. For being a patriot warrior, you need to have a psychological exam. Let's just give you a test. You pass that little test and you actually qualify me to be in the armed forces. It takes much more than that. If you analyze, psychologically, every single one, the truth of the matter, maybe one out of a freaking 100, or maybe a lot less than that. I don't know how to tell you that, but that's a fact. That's the reason why we have so many PTSD. And as you know, with all those chemical compounds, bioengineering things that they've been launching on society, whether it be in food, whether it be in chemtrails, whether it be in injectables, and no longer need injectables because we have chemtrails already all over. So we absorb it, through your skin, one of the larger organs, on your body. So at this point right now, what do you guys wanting to do?
Time. We talk about, hey, Maha and yourself from Carol. We talk about to Kat about, hey, your body, Joe, all of these solutions, political solutions, developing voting quorums. Like, how many people do you think are going to be motivated enough to go stop in their local VFW? That's what I want to hear, K9. That's the solution part of it. So,
dude, I was trying to get a solution by having PTSD support groups in X, right? I got me to chapter 30. And then after chapter 30, I got sanctioned because they didn't like the narrative. It says, there was extremely violent. Why? Because I allow freedom of speech in my community. I think, that's absurd. It's manipulation. If I tell you what I know right now, whether you use an Android phone or an Apple phone, if you got emails, all your emails link, to third parties on sent when you actually there in this platform or any other platform, and even on your browser in Google. So I know how I actually disable those things right now because it takes me time. And I can guide you through real quick, guys, when you actually get on a break, because I don't want to take the mic. But you let me know.
well, you know what? That goes right along with the project that's going on in the background. So, you know what, K9? Maybe we should touch base in the background. So, brother, I appreciate you coming up, and I'm seriously sorry for the loss. I don't know what it would be to do to bury my own child, but you got to be a patriot to keep going. Thank you, K9. It's been a while. I'm glad to see you. Mikey, go ahead, man. How you doing, Mikey? And then we'll go to you.
Hey, good morning. Sorry, I didn't mean to step in front of True. He's been there for a minute, so if you want to take him, that's fine.
All right, go ahead, True, and then we'll go to Mike. Mikey, go ahead, man. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good. Just told you, I told you the other day I'd come out and let you know when I got my after action report, and happy to say that out of our Pensacola search, this is like for those that don't know, we do search and rescue across the United States for missing, exploited, trafficked kids as well as missing adults. We were able to locate 7 of 10 children in the greater Pensacola area. 2 of 4 adults were also located. The work for those gap numbers still continues as of today. So we don't just stop. We'll continue to work those cases. And I just took another case for another state today. So working on that. Important to note, there was some conversation yesterday, and I couldn't speak on it yet, but I can speak on it today. One of the adults we found is a 27-year-old female who has autism. So she has basically a 14-year-old brain. That is a trafficking situation. But that is also one of the, I would say, one of the diagnoses that falls under the umbrella of neurodivergency. I'm not going to make this up, but there's a number of different diagnoses that fall under neurodivergency, which are like autism, ADHD, Tourette's, dyslexia, OCD, things like that. So just to give you a better picture, searches include all kids or all adults that are at risk, and so that work will continue. It does continue this week. We're not officially on the search and rescue this week, but we are continuing to do the work, and we're continuing to have our team meetings. The team I'm on right now working this case is out of 4 different states, and so our team's going to continue to work that case out of a different state, while also working out of some of the cases that remain from last week. So just wanted to give you guys an update on where we were and what's happening. Available for any questions.
You know what, Mike, the only question I have, and when you feel comfortable to do it, and, we're looking back at all the states that you guys have been operating in, really, I think maybe some of the stories should be the organizations and government facilities that actually helped you guys. I think that would satisfy a lot of people, and having an understanding of what states we need to work on to enforce that better for you, for your organization, developing voter quorums, going to our Congress people and really leaning on them that they make these 3-letter agencies accountable. And if as soon as we see the continuity in the investigations that you guys are doing, I think Americans would understand.
No, that's completely fair. Every single investigation and every single search and rescue that we go on involves not only local PD and county sheriff's departments, state police as well. But we also, and those people are in the room with us, like they're in our tactical operations center. But we also have agents from Homeland Security Investigations, FBI, DOJ, Marshals, and several other organizations that are in the room with us in our Tactical Operations Center so that we can, get more information quicker. They're kind of help remove some of that red tape for us so we can get the information we need to get, particularly if some of those cases go across state lines, which is quite often. That kind of helps alleviate that red tape. So they're very much involved in the team or teams, as the case may be, when we're doing these search and rescues. And so we want to see more of that. We've built solid partnerships with those federal agencies, so that when we do our next search and rescue, we know who to call on. And they will be there. They are dedicated to that, and then they also know when they are, like in the case of the Department of Justice, if the marshals are going to conduct a massive operation, they know they can call us, and we have the resources to help support that operation, which like what we did in California earlier this year. With the 37 kids found, which got a lot of media attention. So we're going to continue to foster those relationships because it's important, right? They have more information than maybe we have. They have access to more information than we have. And so we're able to network and share that information in order to get these kids into safe environments and begin that healing process.
Well, let me tell you, I think you just satisfied a lot of people with that answer because that's what I want to hear. That's what the voters want to hear. Anybody that's been fighting child trafficking, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear the continuity out of those 3-letter agencies that we should all be. Number one, we've assumed that they're there for the right reason, but now it might even be to the point of forcing them to have to help. That's the better part. That's great news, Mike.
Yeah, no, and we haven't, and that's the thing, Marlon. We haven't had to force anybody. They have had those organizations, those agencies have been willing and able to either partner with us on the operations that we're conducting, or B, go through their Rolodex and say, hey, we're going to call Shepherds because we know they produce results out of the intel that they're able to find, and we're able to have a higher percentage chance of finding the kids that we're looking for and make the arrests that we need to make.
Well, you see what's going on in Jersey. I mean, they're fighting every ICE detention spot here, Mikey. And really, it sounds like they're valuable tools. I mean, we got to look. We're listening to this distraction, dude. This is what we should be talking about. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you, Mikey. awesome. You rock. And you know what, guys? If you want to follow somebody that's boots on the ground, there's a lot of great people that are advocating for the children on this app. But Mikey, he really does come with his good receipts. They all do, but he really does. And I'm so glad to see that. And I'm glad he came in here today. Guys, one more time before we close the space, please go and like and reshare this space. Get this out there. This is some great information. People that are working might not be able to listen to this now, but they'll definitely listen later. And thank you again, Mikey. You rock.
Well, you know what? Hey, we're talking about solutions there. You know, child trafficking, that's a big sector, man. You know, how are we working on solutions? Well, damn, I would say that's one. I would say there's somebody you can trust and really honor in what they're saying, putting out the receipts, watching these 3-letter agencies work with their organizations. And you just heard it from the horse's mouth. There's no forcing. It's the better news.
Hey, and Marlon, and to your point there, as I get the articles, because everybody wants to see a receipt, as I do get the articles on these different operations, I have created a link on my page where I'm going to be cataloging those articles for as long as they stay up on the websites I get them from, be it a sheriff's office, be it local news media or wherever. I will post those there, and you guys can go in and take a look. It's it's the Beacons. I have a Beacons. That's what it's called. I couldn't think of the name. But I am going to continue to post those articles for those search and rescues that we're a part of or asked to be a part of.
Well, Mikey, one more quick point I want to point out. And if you know, hey, you see what this person's doing. Mike's in Illinois, you know, and there's things that, hey, he's in the head of legislation that's being passed in that state. This is where we need to develop these voting forms to be able to support an organization that's putting this legislation forward. I'm talking about sensual sex age in all these different states. All have different rules, you know, and these are the type of people that are putting that legislation forward. You know, if we could actually farm some people out of Illinois to really help the cause, you know, that's when we're talking, and those are the solutions, Kanon.
Yeah, and to your point, to dovetail off of that, you know, we see some legislation that comes forward that really doesn't help the cause, right? You know, they're allowing. They just passed in the People's Socialist Republic of Illinois, as I call it, that minors are able to get birth control without consent or advising of their parents. So this is kind of a you know, a sticking point, because parents do need to be involved in what their kids are doing, and you know, and when you take away that parental consent or the parental advisory, you set up a situation that could be really, really damaging for the child, who, you know, does not have the mental capacity to really understand what they're doing. But on the flip side of that, we have two grooming bills. One is on the Illinois House side, one's on the Illinois Senate side, and those both have been sitting in committee on a shelf for a better part of 8 months, and we're continuing to try to push to get those voted on and pushed to the floor. But we're getting, as you can imagine, a ton of pushback from the local politicians because they don't want more sentencing. So that's the fight that really kind of continues here.
So that age bill, those bills that are in the House and the Senate inside, or your assembly, it's not a House, it's the assembly, and the state. All right, you know, think of that, Mike. You know, now, hey, you kind of put that out there. Everybody in Illinois should be hearing this, and they should be calling their representatives, their local representatives, to push back and say, hey, we want representation in our county on this bill, and show up at the meeting and tell them. So like, this is half of the frustration of listening to people and listening to the distractions out there. This is what we should be more focused on. This is where we can help, right? We can't help on any of the other distractionary shit, Epstein files, whatever.
And the wild part is that a 13 or 12-year-old can go on the signing of this bill, which I will probably happen here in the next day or two for the birth control. These kids can go out and get birth control without even, without their parents' knowledge. But they still have a law on the books in Illinois that a minor cannot get an ear piercing without adult consent or advisory. So, make it make sense to me.
Oh man, there's so many policies in both of our governments there that would never make sense. Come on, it's just like saying the slingshot is a firearm in my state. Slingshot is classified as a firearm. It's crazy. You can go to the clink if you got a wrist rocket, dude. All right, that's crazy. Joe.
Real quickly, in one of Brandy's spaces, I talked extensively about my protocols. And I also mentioned the late Dr. Rashid Buttar, who cured his own son's autism with chelation therapy. What I didn't know was that it was transdermal chelation, which is more gentle into the body. But just the same, if people are trying to recover their children's minds, I tell them take it very slow. Children aren't as resilient as adults are, and I generally recommend half dose or smaller because there is no hurry to get these toxicants out of the body. And when these toxicants are gone, then the body and the mind can heal. Trafficking, I mean, that by that time the child's much older, unfortunately, with the mind of a child, and it's just the same. You tread slowly because there are other things that these kids have, like hypersensitivity. Things are louder than they should be, or brighter, and their senses are already overwhelmed. But just the same, if we can restore our children, more power to us, right?
Well, Joe, it's kind of like the latest Comcast commercial. Now, this commercial runs every commercial cycle, and it's the guy sitting there and he's yelling up the stairs, it's movie night, and none of the kids care because they're distracted. Right? They're all on their devices, computers. And then what he does is he goes and he pauses all of the Wi-Fi to everybody else's devices, their kids, their wife, and everybody piles in the room. Don't you think that's a problem in itself? Like, wait a minute. You're telling me by that commercial that these kids have an addiction to the social media, computer, Wi-Fi, whatever. At the end of the day, we're not working on the concrete things that need to change right here in our own houses.
Well, right. I'm just saying we need to be sensitive to these kids in terms of the overwhelming nature of their senses being driven into overdrive. But I think it's possible, and I know that there's one parent of an autistic who I basically said, if you're going to do this, take it very slow, meaning be gentler than you would normally be for yourself. And
you guys, Joe, do you remember TB? TB was a real soft-spoken, and she was an analyst. She used to take child behavior and develop graphs and the deficiencies that she uncovered. And unfortunately, she has died since then. But that when she came onto this app, that's what she was talking about. And at the time, it was during COVID. Right at the end of COVID, and she was even throwing the red flags up, like, we have no idea on the detriment that we did to these kids. You're not going to see it for generations out in front of us. She warned us about it.
Yeah, and just the same, for those of us who are aware of the toxins and the toxicants and the poisons, we can make it a safer environment for our children, both in terms of what some of us allowed to be injected into them, as well as even the food we eat. We've talked about that too. Each one of these things has an effect on mineral balance, like the glyphosate. And that's what I talk about. And, sometimes I go overboard and you have to set me a little bit slower. But I see a path to us getting healthy again. And that's my goal. In this city, I even announced it in City Council, what the purpose of the building will be on November 4th will be to educate people on how to improve their health and longevity. And I had a little Democrat gig. The goal of producing or making Van Wert a blue zone, not to be confused with the Democrat death cult blue zone.
Yeah, I'm with you. So, I think it starts right here and a lot of the subjects that we talk about, taking back some of the responsibility on what you're ingesting. Look at the containments in those boxes and cans and bottles. And when you realize that, the 1,600 chemicals that make up our food system, you're going to realize that, they're going to use the excuse of unregulatory chemicals. Oh, we didn't know. Oh, you're going to get all the excuses in the world, but isn't that our job? Right? Hey, eliminating seed oils out of our diets, stop consuming the pre-made, anything out of a box or a bottle. We just don't eat it anymore. So it's taking responsibility on your own too. It's not just, hey, handing out, waiting for the government to come and give you a direction. You better start making your own direction. And I think we talk about a lot of those things in here. Let's get ahead, Drew, and then we'll say a couple of last thoughts and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, thanks. My mic was messed up. I couldn't answer. K9, thanks for your motivation. You're a very strong soul, and never give up, buddy. We need you. They say the good die young, and I'm thinking my theory on that is like God needs a soul that's a good soul, and it's not that the old or bad soul, but maybe it's a more important soul or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying they take these souls and he needs them for something. So I'm thinking, just thanks for being strong. I don't even think I could talk if something like that happened to me, but you're a good motivation for us. The Canadian guy, I just don't know why Canadians care about America so much, but I love it. I wish he can explain that to me because there's a lot of Canadians say some awesome stuff. And it's probably just
Tell you right now, Drew. You know why those Americans or those Canadians are they have been envious for years about our patriotism, about our Constitution, and now Alberta actually has a chance of defying or defecting out of the Canada and become the 51st state. Let me tell you, I know a lot of people in Alberta, dude, and they're screaming up and down. They would love this. So I don't think it's so strange that they're coming in here. And Mr. Smalls, the better part is, hey, man, I got a connection to that guy, right? Right where he lives. I've been there many times. I understand the topography and I understand what he's under the same struggles we are. He's having all these immigrants come into Edmonton and the outlying suburbs and taking over his country. That's what he sees. That's why he's so outspoken. And the Albertans are the number one. Their prime minister is probably one of the most conservative out of all of them.
They're tough guys. I worked with them. I mean, they came over to help us on a job one time. And they thought we were wimps, and we thought we were tough guys. But these guys were like all over the forest and just chopping us stuff. I mean, there was like nothing to them. So I appreciate their strength too.
They prep. They get ready for the winter. They stock up their freezers. They go hunting. They trap. They have farms. They're doing the American thing. True.
Yeah, and the truckers were like, that was like the most exciting thing I've ever seen. I love what those truckers are doing. I mean, that was like OJ to me. I couldn't stop watching that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Drew, thanks for coming in. Anybody got any quick last thoughts there? I got a meeting at 12 here. I got about 15 minutes to travel. So, hey, I do want to put it out there. New Jersey residents, our primary is coming up next week, June 2nd, right? So make sure the New Jersey residents know who their candidates are. In fact, I'm probably not going to get time tomorrow, but maybe at some point on Monday or Tuesday, hey, we're going to, Tuesday's obviously June 1st, right? So that's the primary. So I'm definitely going to put out some of my local people there and look at the struggle inside of my own GOP and who's backing who and what money's supporting the weaker candidate. It's the ugliest scene ever. I don't even know how the GOP in my state's going to get back together. Their messaging sucks, and they're doing a terrible job, especially showing up on people's front door on Mother's Day. That was like a bad move. What idiot ever thought it would be couth to go up and knock on somebody's door on Mother's Day? It's insane.
I wanted to ask you one question about the Constitution. Do you guys agree that the Bill of Rights was a separate document than the Constitution and then was added later, or no?
Dude, not my wheelhouse. I'm not a constitutionalist. The Bill
No,
of
they
Rights.
were added later. You got to read the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers to understand that.
Yeah, I thought I should ask Truth about that. Yeah, somebody said it was just like the Bill of Rights was wrote later, but then added as our first 10 amendments. I don't know.
Well, you hear the clowns talk about, oh, we need a digital Bill of Rights. We don't need a digital Bill of Rights. We got it right there in cursive because you can't read it. Right? Oh, it's a crazy talk. We had no common sense. Oh my gosh. Texas, you want to say something before we wrap it up? What's up, Texas? How you doing, man?
Yes, can you hear Marlon?
He's probably busy in the background. Well, listen, hey, I do appreciate everybody who came in and contributed today. Mikey, thank you especially. And hey, putting it out there, the continuity of these law enforcement agencies working together to help you guys, I think it's a great notion. It's one of my very first arguments to go back and yell at people when they say the Trump and Holman administration isn't doing anything and they're just, one-eyed ogres. It's just not true. That's kind of the hysteria I'm glad that we're getting out. Texas, Gabe, man, how you doing?
Doing all right, y'all. How y'all doing this morning? Just jumped in for a minute. Yeah, it takes a second when I take a speaker, man. For some reason, with this system and this my work truck, it takes a second for everything to click. So Brian, you can hear it. I want to give an update on my son. Turns out that he has broken his back in 3 places, but it's previously, so it's healed. So no surgery, no back brace. They said it's done a good job of healing, so that's good news. Now he's just sore and trying to recover. His knees all banged up, but I wanted to give y'all that update, man. Marlon, how about Texas, man? We're over it down here, man. Changing the guard, brother.
Well, next you're going to hear that, oh, this county's going to sue their administration. They're working against the constituents. You can see the lawsuits are going to be coming for that administration. He's got an uphill battle. He's got to really, talk about draining the swamp. What, there's 212 counties in Texas, dude? That's a lot of counties. That's a lot of sheriffs. That's a lot of political figures there that are in your way, Ken Paxton.
So 254, brother. 254.
Yeah, think of that. We only got 21 in Jersey. Wow. Well, Texas, man, good to hear your voice, man. Good to see you there. Just sound like you called me at the end. You got a 1 minute conservative.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
You
good to
bet.
see you.
Yeah. Just real quick, man. Yeah, 254 counties. We actually have 2 time zones. West Texas is in the Mountain Time Zone. A portion of it is, and the rest is in Central Time Zone. And John Cornyn carried only 2 out of 254 counties. Now it's kind of a joke because one of those counties, Marlin, is Kennedy County, which is border county, and 8 people voted, 6 for Cornyn and 2 for Paxton. And that one, so you can just toss that aside. And the other county that he carried was
Oh, he broke up. We lose him?
We lost
our
them.
state capital is in that county. And so
we
he
lost it there for a minute. Sunlight. We lost it there for a minute. So the 2 counties we heard 8 voted, and then we didn't hear anything else.
Yeah, so the other one was Travis County, which is where our state capital is, and it's the Keep Austin Weird crowd, right? And so a lot of Democrats would cross over and answer the call to vote for Cornyn over Paxton, and he still only carried that by a couple thousand votes. A large county with Austin, our 4th largest city in the state of Texas, and so at the end of the day, I mean, it was just a wipeout, and the other 3 that got in with him, the coattails. Nays Middleton beat Chip Roy for Attorney General, and then Beau French beat out a long time, very popular Railroad Commission guy for the Railroad Commission. And so Thomas Smith won out the criminal courts, and Thomas Smith is all about the rule of law. So things are changing, man. We got 4 fighters in
Well,
this primary.
I think
Mhm.
sunlight. I think what even is more historical is that they even got a runoff, right? I think maybe if we do a space next week, right before the New Jersey primary, maybe we can kind of tear apart how it even got to the point where it was a runoff. But now that the runoff happened, and looking at, hey, how close it was on Republicans, or hey, I don't know what the numbers were as far as how many Republicans actually came out to vote on this runoff. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of metrics there. But I think the number one thing is the historical thing is that there is a runoff. But now that the runoff has happened and you see the big giant gap in it, right? Now we see a big giant gap. That just tells me that, hey, they're only proving that there was election fraud. It's just ridiculous. I can't believe they're not talking like that.
Well, we'll figure that part out. But the other good news is that not only did Jasmine Crockett get wiped out as the Senate candidate, on the Dem side, but Al Green, his district, the Democrat nominee going against him, a longtime incumbent, he got wiped out. So we no longer have to see Al Green in Congress. He's one of those. I don't know if you know who he is, but
I know exactly who he is.
Yeah, look him up. He's a freaking joke of a congressional rep, and so even the Dems on the Democrat side said now that we have a chance, because of redistricting, to clean up and put somebody forward that would actually represent us, they got rid of Al Green. So things are changing, man.
Oh, that should put a little dent in the Black Caucus, huh? Yeah. He's been outspoken like the yeah, hallelujah. To be honest with you, if I was living in Texas and I saw this happening, man, I'd be an excited guy.
Hey, we're excited, man.
I'll bet you are. And now there's hope. Now there's a little bit of light, right? Gabrielle, did you want to add something in there? How you doing?
Yes, sir. Hey, Marlon. I haven't seen you in a long time. I hadn't been in one of your We Are the People spaces in a long time. I'm usually working by now, but yeah, I live in Texas and I live in the redistricted area, that the newly created district, right? And Al Green was I'm part of what would have been his district now. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
yeah. So, I mean, the candidate that I chose, he didn't win, but we do have a new candidate that is going up against the primary winner of Al, that was opposing Al Green. So, it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. But here in Texas, we're very excited. I mean, when you think about the runoffs were just, this was just the icing on the cake. One of the biggest one of the biggest wins in Texas, in my opinion, was getting Dan Crenshaw out in the primary. And he was ousted by Steve Toth, a good friend of mine. I'm really excited about all of the people who have won. We've been under the Bush era of reign for so long. Seriously, it's been 30 years, guys. Like, they've been more than 30 years. They've been around and running things here in Texas since I was a little girl. And it is very exciting to see that their influence is not working on people anymore. They're not able to just put up anybody, and then we just say, okay, well, it's better than a Democrat, and just holding our noses and voting. We had really scary turnout during the primary, but because the Dems they outpaced us during the primary. But during the runoff, it was the Republicans showed up. And I think that is because people are starting to see that there is hope, whereas before, people thought it doesn't matter what we do, they're always going to vote some Bush D-bag in. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that in here, but
Yeah, you're good.
yeah. So I think, more people are starting to get excited about it. I am, very nervous about how things are going because I went to my precinct convention and my Senate convention. I was the only person in my precinct to go. We don't have a precinct chair here, and I was the only person in my entire precinct to show up. And when I showed up at the precinct convention a few months ago, there were about 10 10 or 20, somewhere around in there, in between 10 and 20 Muslims who are precinct chairs and who are representing their precincts. And when it was time to vote on our platforms and all of that, we voted to ban Sharia law, and every single one of them voted against that ban. They voted against, getting rid of uh elect of our elected officials, like, what am I trying to say? I'm so sleepy. um I've been up very early this morning. We put up a recommendation to stop allowing dual citizens to become elected officials, and they oppose that. A lot of people oppose that. We had a lot of people who are Catholics oppose a personal, infraction, like a law against, I guess, a law against people who aid and abet illegal aliens, because the Catholic charities, they feed and clothe them and help them and all that stuff. So they oppose that. I mean, if you don't show up to your your precinct conventions, your Senate conventions early on, if you're not active in that stuff, you're really missing a lot. I was really surprised and shocked at how much I had been missing by not going to those events. And I did this time. I ended up becoming the delegate, of obviously, because there was nobody else. But so, I mean, and I do want to go to the convention. I do want to go to the convention. I still need to raise the money to be able to go, because it is expensive. And, that's not necessarily something that I can afford right now. But I want to be in the room when they talk about policy, and when they talk about, all of the platform, their platform for the state. I want to know what they're talking about with that stuff, as it pertains to Second Amendment rights, as it pertains to medical freedoms. All of those things are all things that we have seen eroded even here in Texas. And we really, really need to be in the rooms with those people when they're talking about this stuff, so that the Bush era Republicans that are in Texas do not override and just bulldoze over the rest of us, the people who want to see changes happen, and people who want to see our republic be restored to its proper form.
So, Gabrielle, in my head, what Ken Paxton needs is he needs the cooperation of those precincts to really push the narrative at a local end. That's where he should spend his time. He should be
I
spending. He should be spending it in you guys, and you're the one that presses that legislature inside of your county to do what you guys want when you have a voting quorum. Like we're missing it, Gabrielle. Americans are missing it.
I really think that that's true. I mean, and unfortunately, the man can't be everywhere at once. So we as the people who are, in line with his way of thinking, in line, we are all in agreement in our thought, in our thinking on how to conduct the business of the people. We are the ones who need to be able to show up, as representatives of what of the values that we want to see in our government. And so I mean, Kim Paxton, he's my guy, man. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. Whenever I don't know if anybody, in this space knows what I do, but I fight indoctrination. I fight gender ideology. I help people all over the world parent their children into desistance from social transition. I help people pull their children out of the trans cult. When SB 14 was passed and the ACLU sued the state, Ken Paxton's office reached out to me to get my testimony and ask if I would become a witness in that case, because they know that they know that they have good fighters in this state, and they know how to win, and they're not going to just look at the quote unquote experts with all of the letters behind their name. They don't give a crap about about certification or licensure or any of that kind of stuff. They're going directly to the people and getting the truth. And I think that that is, I mean, I think that that is super important, and I think that that is commendable. There's not this purity test with Kim Paxton. There's not some optics that he wants to, convey to the rest of the world. He is all about taking care of the business of the people, and I'm all in for it. I'm all for it. I hope that, hey, and listen, if y'all want to help me get there, I sure will be grateful. In my timeline, there's a way to help support me so that I can get to the state convention. The state convention in Texas is bigger than the national convention. It's the biggest convention in the country. And there are a lot of important policy decisions made at this convention.
Well, Gabrielle, I'm glad you had a quick chance to come up and really let us know what you're doing, right? And it sounds like an opportunity if we could take Ken Paxton's example and show the rest of the country this is what the man should be doing, supporting the undercard and supporting the constituents. It's going to be important. Great to hear it, Gabrielle. It's great. Julie, you want to jump in there, and then we'll get one more thing out.
Yeah, 'cause I am going to drop down because I do have to get out of the house here. But Gabrielle, thank you for all you do, and thank you for coming in here to the space today and talking about that. Guys, follow her as well. I wish we had that kind of representation, and we had, and I guess we wish we had that representation in New Jersey with the GOP. We don't have that. And so, yeah, Republicans will come out when there's somebody good that they want to go vote for, when it's talked about, when there is right there in front of your face. We don't have that, unfortunately. So yeah, keep coming into this space, keep talking about the good things, keep getting people to work with you. That's really what it's about. And guys, I just want to say thank you for coming into the space today, all that contributed. Please, one more time, go down to the Purple Bubble, like and reshare. Gabrielle, put your stuff in the Purple Bubble if you would like, for people to look at your profile. And guys, have a great day. God bless America. Have a good weekend. I won't see anybody tomorrow. I'll be camping away with New Orleans. All right, take care. Love you all.
Have a good time, Julie. Okay, Texas Sunlight, dude. You guys got like 30 seconds to speak.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask Julie, did we turn out? Because in my county, only 8.34% voted. So did we really turn out? I don't think we did. We're not getting there, Martin. How long you been talking about the turnout? You know what I mean?
For a while about it. Those numbers are going to count later on. Go ahead, Sunlight.
Yeah, and that's just like the local elections, Marlon. It was around 11%, for the original primary, and about, like you said, about 8-9% for this one. But at the end of the day, we all head scratch as to why Wes Hunt threw his name in the hat, for the first primary, and it prevented Paxton from winning outright the first go round. But what it did was it amplified just how idiotic the national structure is, and throwing $100 million at John Cornyn. Now that money could have been spent elsewhere, but sometimes something like that has to happen to expose the mess, how messy it is. And then this by having a primary runoff, it amplified all the things that Ken Paxton has done for the state of Texas and will do in the Senate. So it kind of upped the profile. So it was a good thing at the end of the day. you know, to have the runoff, in my opinion, you know, but we'll see. Like you said, there will be some deep dives and everything else, but it exposed the Republicans and the Save America Act, and it also amplified, you know, Ken Paxton on the national stage. So, you know, there's a lot of silver linings here. Thanks a lot.
Hey, remember last election, I actually went out in front of some of these polls and kind of talked to some of the people. I may try and do that again on Tuesday. I will not be here on Monday, but Tuesday is primary day, so I'm looking forward to doing that actually. So, hey, Truth, I love you, man. I gotta go. God bless America, everybody. Hey, have a great rest of your day. Don't work too hard. Like I said, God bless America. Thanks for coming in, everybody.